A Nashville fan and an FC Cincinnati fan are sitting in a bar. The FC Cincinnati fan's having a cold one, enjoying this season thus far, but muttering under his breath about referees and such. The Nashville fan, however, is losing his mind on the phone with his ticket rep, claiming he's not renewing his tickets unless his coach is fired. Both clubs are sitting at 33 points. Perspective is an interesting thing, isn't it? Despite what many would call a successful FCC season thus far, the club did slip out of playoff contention this weekend. Just for a moment, we all have known that draws won't keep cutting it, and this was the week where the rest of the East stopped playing softball. FC Cincinnati has some catching up to do, but at least we are handling it better than our expansion comrades over in the Music City. The Atlanta match proved we are not going to walk into this playoff field, and we're going to need to earn our way in. So we're going to dive into that. There are some good takeaways from this match. There were lots of balls bouncing off posts, almost goals, calls, new players. It was a really interesting game, actually, to look back on and see the many, many ways it could have gone differently, maybe should have gone differently. And that's why I have assembled what I believe to be the perfect minds for this particular match. Let's bring them in, and we'll do a check on their perspective. First up, Mr. Jeremy Lance. Welcome back, friend.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Welcome. Why am I the only one wearing the new free hat? I thought everyone else was gonna. I mean, if it's for free, it's for me. And I just figured we were all rocking our free, high quality hat today.
Man, I thought about wearing the hat, but it was downstairs. I had to walk down there and get it. That's a lot of work, man.
I mean, look at this thing. This is you got to pay for that kind of construction. Look at this thing. I love it.
What I really like about it is that they didn't overbrand it, like the Mike's license plates that you're never going to put on your car because it's just Mike's. Oh, by the way, FC Cincinnati.
You know what I liked about it? It wasn't a towel.
Yeah, well,
so it was a hat.
You could sew all those jerseys to make a real jersey at this point.
I'm gonna make a blanket. Just have a little throw blanket right here on the couch.
Well, I'm glad to have you on. Let's bring in Jason. Do you know why you're here tonight, Jason?
I'm going to go with the referees like the Chelsea coach winning and Antonio Conte this weekend. That's why I'm here.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of complaints that I'm too easy on the referees, so we have brought you in to be the yin to my yang.
And the reason I'm not wearing my hat, if you see this dome I have here sitting on my neck, the hat barely fit me. Like it's a quality hat, but for me, I'm just very particular about what goes on this gigantic cue ball I have.
Well, you have a head of hair that can go on it.
Yeah, I can barely get a comb through this.
I got to put something on here.
Add several inches on there, Jeremy.
The hat lacks depth. That's what I noticed. It's a great hat, but it just needs to be about one more inch.
No, it's perfect. Any lower and it's hitting my glasses. It messes things up.
All right.
Perfect.
We figured out who they're made for. All right, and I heard our next host had a bachelor party over the weekend, so hopefully he's feeling good enough to join us tonight. How are you, Mr. Tebbets? Are you with us, Mr. Tebbets?
Hold on a second here. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Top golf in the morning. A few Miller Lite barrels, buckets. I don't know how to measure them anymore. Bourbon tour. Went to see the game. I was in the Bailey. I think I had a hat, but I might have used it for something other than wearing. I don't know. It's kind of. But from what I was able to get, it was a good game.
Wowzers! Yeah, you look rough, buddy. What are you wearing? An airline pillow there on your neck?
Yeah, I mean, TikTok. I guess. Yeah, I learned it from them. I don't know that commercial. Whatever.
I made like a 20-minute cameo at your bachelor party. I don't know if you remember that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I figured as much. I figured.
You were there. You know, there were. You know. Yeah.
That works.
Well, if you can hang with us tonight, we'd love to have you. We'll see if you can pull through, though.
Just use very quiet voices at times.
All right. And so tonight, like I said at the opening, we are going to talk a little bit about this Atlanta match to start off. We're going to get into our best and worst. Before that, though, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, SwearOX. Again, they are They sponsor CST for over a year now, which is incredible. We appreciate their support of the local Cincinnati soccer community and fan media. So if you get a chance, their products are hitting shelves, Jungle Gyms, Kroger. You can buy it on Amazon. You can even go to their website and use code CST22 for a discount. And that's probably one of the best ways to do it. Let's dive into the best and worst. We won't stop, Jeff. We'll give you a second to claim your thoughts. So we'll go to Jeremy Lance. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. Are you asking me for my best and worst? Is that what you were? Is that what you were attempting there?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that. My worst. This season, if it doesn't culminate in playoffs, is because it's going to be death by 1,000 draws, and each one is getting more painful than the next, as far as how it should not have been, and how it was absolutely 2 points on the table. You just look in these past handful of draws. Obviously, we'll get into this weekend's match and why it should have been 3 points. The Vancouver match at home, you have no business doing anything but winning that match, and it didn't happen. You go to Miami, you fight back, you get a late lead, and with the last breath of the match, you get a draw. It's these points. I mean, if you think that's 6 points right there. We're in fourth place with those 6 points. We're in fourth place, sitting not just like kind of in fourth place. We're like 1 week and we just go tumbling out of the playoffs. Like, we're comfortably in the playoffs and in fourth place. And that's so disappointing that, like, we're so close to being so stinking good. And it's these little slips and these little misses and these little unfortunate occurrences that happen outside of of the team's control. That we're in ninth. We're treading water. And at the end of the season, if this is where we're sitting on the outside looking in, it's going to be these draws that are going to keep us up at night. My best, the Bailey was in Hall of Fame form on Saturday. That was probably one of their best showings at TQL. It was absolutely electric. They were giving it the entire match. It was sensational. I loved it. It was so great. The atmosphere they created was everything you dream of when you go to a match, and when you hear, and people that aren't around FC Cincinnati on a regular basis that hear about our crowd, hear about the supporters, that's what they're looking for. And they got it. And it was so good.
What'd you think of did you get there early enough to get to see the hype? Like, you had Darren and the Bailey doing a hype thing. You had,
Darren. Then you had the other guy.
I've never seen him before.
Real loud guy. You got a microphone. You're real loud. I thought he was, I don't know. I thought that kind of worked. I think Darren does a pretty good job to, running that show and keeping things going in the Bailey and keeping guys hyped.
I want to see if they keep doing it, because it might be a thing where it works.
It was an interesting mid-season introduction of that decision.
I think it caught everybody in our section off guard. I was like,
who's this guy?
I kind of felt like, who was it? Cruz that does the Cyclones games, where he'd be out and shouting in the crowd and giving people like free gift cards if they.
That's what I thought he was going to do. I thought like then he was going to hand somebody like a free La Rosa's pizza, like halfway through it. Like, no, he's just hyping us up.
FCC.
They had a similar guy for They had a similar guy for the U.S. national team game against Mexico too.
Oh, right.
A random hype man or something like that.
Yeah, that's a U.S. men's national team staple. They do that pretty much wherever you go.
They fly that dude in his job. I mean, what a life. That guy.
I would do that job.
In. Here's what you're doing. You're just gonna get on that microphone like a psycho and just start screaming like a banshee to get everybody going right before the match. All expenses paid.
All right, Jason, we will jump into your best and worst.
My best was Brenner this week. I feel like he's starting to play like the guy we paid for. Over the past few weeks, he's not just scoring, but I feel like a lot of Brandon Vasquez's success has been because of Brenner. taking pressure away, playing a lot of really good balls. Brenner had several really good looks this week. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But one thing that really stuck out to me was in the second half, he had a header that was, I think, tipped over the bar right in front of the Bailey. And he missed the shot and then went right up to the Bailey and started pumping him up and stuff. And that's kind of the attitude I hadn't seen from him since he's been here. And so you want to see that. Brenner is really stepping up, and I hope he can continue and actually maybe score some of those goals he had chances this week. My worst is boneheaded mistakes. We have seen it all season, and it came back to bite us this week. I think it was Blackett with just whiffing on the clearance that eventually led to the game-tying goal. Early in the match, you had Miazga kind of forgetting that he's playing in MLS and passing one right in front of an open net that nearly got turned over and turned into a Atlanta goal. There was a point where Obi came in and just blew up Hags in our own box. So just a few things that you didn't really see against Philly. I don't know what it was. I mean, you got to get up for every match, and there were a few mistakes that were just kind of unprofessional, I think is the way to say it.
Atlanta came out hard, like a lot harder than Philly did. So that was an interesting shift. Clifford Adams said his best is Matt Miazga. Worked out well. Baji returned. Worst, whoever said we play to our competition's level last week was right. Hey, there you go. Repeat. CST shows up. Jason Yates, best. Miazga looks to be a perfect fit for our biggest need. Worst, obviously having another match decided because of bad officiating. Oh, Jason with a controversial take. I like it. Alex, best. FCC2 got the win over Crew 2. That's right. If you wanted to win, you should have just went to TQL Stadium the next day. Worst, Gutman once again hurting us. I have a theory about Andrew Gutman. He is either injured or on fire. That's his only two modes. He just doesn't have a bad game. He's just injured or he's destroying teams.
He scored that winner the week before. I don't know if you saw that last week. That was an absolute screamer from the top of the box.
Yeah, he's done really well since, and he was injured for Atlanta most of the beginning of the season. All right, let's bring Jeff Tebbets in, best and worst, if anybody didn't steal it.
Okay, I'm going to pull this all into the 6-yard box. We're going to distill it. We're going to condense it. Just keep it right there. My best of the week has to be the goalkeeper union 2.0, version 2.0. The save by Roman Celentano in the 43rd minute was epic. I've never seen a save like that where the play goes from one side to the other. And that was a bad setup of a play. Powell was trying to guard his guy guard the ball out of play. And his guy got around him real tough and sent a cross that floated over. Roman went from one goalpost to the other, laid out his left hand and actually saved it with his right hand.
Yeah, he did.
Stretched it out. That was an unbelievable save. If that's not a save of the week or even save of the year in MLS, I'll be eating my hat that I got on Saturday. You put him together with Alec Khan, who played pretty well for FCC2 in the PK shootout. I think you've got yourself a really different monster that you have in the goalkeeper union. This isn't, goalkeepers who are good one day, but only to keep you in a game. These are goalkeepers that are meant to be part of the game, be leaders between the two goalposts. Despite the 2 goals that were let in, he had a very good game there. We'll stay within that area for the worst. For some reason, the pitch condition in general in the penalty boxes was horrible. I don't know if it was me, maybe my beer goggles were a little too fuzzy.
It wasn't.
No, that thing's falling apart.
That looks like my backyard out there.
We were talking about like excavation and construction work. It looked like someone had driven a bulldozer through it. It was not fun to look at. And I was told it was weather related, but I wonder if it's just maybe someone not doing their job well enough. They need to get that pitch to better condition, especially if you're going to have solid games down the stretch.
You had like some groundskeeper guy literally running on at late stages of the match, like while the play was on the other end, running on and trying to like stamp in some divots.
Pre-game,
and,
yeah,
like,
you had
fix it as the game is going on. You had Celentano, I mean, on that one goal kick. I mean, that could have been real bad. His foot, he completely slipped out from under him when he planted it. And I mean, that could have been an injury because of your field.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, really good goalkeeping duty by Roman. And I'll have to tip my hat to Atlanta's goalkeeper. He did a good job as well. He made some saves on Brenner that probably would have gone in if he was a step behind.
Our photographer Jeremy Miller saying he was there today and they were babying the field, so maybe it's getting some well-needed love and treatment.
Needed some TLC.
Yeah.
The guys last night when FCC 2 won, they did the knee slide, and I'm like, be careful, come on, that's got to be like an easy a few $1,000 right there if you're not careful.
There's a clip of that game winner. And they do. He slides in the FCC2 video that they posted online, and you just see grass just ripping out of the ground. And I'm like, no! Good job on the goal, but no, poor grass.
I meant to look at Columbus's highlights to see if they are having similar problems with
because of the Ohio thing?
Yeah, because it's the most nearby place.
Yeah.
But we were talking in Slack earlier today. Like, soccer is not, I mean, it's hard on the pitch, but it's not that hard on the pitch versus like American football. And if you look at like GABP, the Red Stadium, their grass is pristine. So I wonder if
just
Jeff,
a
if you're
bunch of guys standing around out there, though.
Go get some seed, man. I mean,
yeah, no, I agree. It is interesting. It'll be, hopefully it holds up. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. That's the main important thing. I don't think it's that bad yet, but we'll see. Let's I got my best and worst. I should probably do that. My worst is gotta be just missed opportunities in this one. We had game winners, like solid shots on goal. Acosta's, I still don't know how it didn't go in. It bounced off the pole, like rode the line before it was finally cleared. Someone should have just breathed on it. If the wind, you know who I blame for this loss? The wind. If it would have just blown a little harder, that ball is a goal. So that's kind of a bummer, the missed opportunities. Brenner, I think, had an amazing shot as well, just kind of kicking them at the goalkeepers. Miazga's debut, I will pile on to anyone who has praised him. I thought he did a good job. One iffy situation, and we'll dive into that. Best, I'm an optimist, guys. We're still in this race. I know. I think you said at the top of the show, we are. I thought you made it sound tougher than it is. Like the gap, FC Cincinnati is actually in the playoffs right now. If the goal differential is better, they're tied with like 4 teams. I think it's okay. We're at an okay point, but we're at a point now where it could go south real fast, or we can climb right back into it, no problem. So that's sort of, we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. Like what they need to do. What's the point situation looking like? Thanks for your best and worst, though, guys. Let's dive into the match. Brenner and Vasquez add to their goal totals. If there's one problem FCC does not have, it is balls in the back of the net. I believe they are 4th in the East in goals scored. Impressive. Are you riding the Vasquez and Brenner train still?
It seems
absolutely
automatic. Yeah, it seems like every game, one or both of them are getting goals.
They're scoring when they need to. I mean, we've gone so long where scoring a goal and just goals weren't guaranteed in matches for us. And now we have an offense that if we need a goal, like, you know, it was a chaotic opening 20 minutes of that match. They give up that goal. But like, I don't know. I wasn't freaked out at that moment. I was like, oh, we have the ability to score plenty. Like, I'm not worried about us not being able to score when in years past you go down by 1 goal and you're like, well, that's going to be tough to come back from.
Yeah.
No, and it's just, this is such an entertaining side to watch when they're just flying offensively. It's so fun to watch.
I'm a little worried that if you're starting to depend a little too much on Brenner and Vasquez, that you're going to be struggling to see where the other goals come from if they fail to put anything on the board. This year with Baji being brought into the team, and then with Santos brought into the team, you thought that you'd have a third attack, someone who can come in and give you 30 minutes if one of those two are starting to run down. And Noonan waited quite a while to bring Baji in. I think he was only like there for the last minute of regular time and all that extra time. So as well as those two are playing, if a team manages to put the clamps on them, it's going to be a struggle to find out who the next option is.
It's talking about Dom Baji, and you brought up Alec Khan earlier. What a disaster for those two guys. I mean, you are not a bad player. Alec lost his job because he got hurt, and Celentano just went out there, destroyed, and refuses to give it back to him.
Yeah, he got Wally pipped.
He's a solid goalkeeper. He hasn't done a single thing wrong. That's the crazy thing. And then I think Baji's in the same place, to your point, Jeff. Why put Baji out there? You got Vasquez and Brenner out there. If someone's going to save the day, it's probably going to be one of them, right?
Yep. Well, yes, but the goal came in and they still had over 10 minutes left to find the game winner. I wonder why you waited so long to bring in a stronger offensive presence.
Was it? I mean, I think maybe. Was it because the offense? It's not like the offense just couldn't get it going at that point. Like those guys out there were creating chances. Still, they were moving the ball well. I think he thought, I got the tools out there on the field right now that can get us back in this, and that can get us the win. I don't know. Maybe that was a thought, but yeah, I mean,
there were players out there that had been normally substituted out earlier, like Powell.
Yep.
Even Moreno to some extent, and for them to be out there, he only used 3 subs. That surprised me a lot more. You've got a fresh Yuya Kubo on the bench. You've got Cruz that can come out. You've got, heck, if you wanted to, you've got Baji earlier. So I'm just wondering why, if your offense is working so well, but you really need that extra bit of offense, why not bring somebody out who can give you that extra pass?
Let's flip it to Jason. I'm going to go to you with a question here in a second, but let's flip it to Coach before we dive in too deep, because he didn't blame it on much except for his FCC's own problems. So we'll take it to this is the start of Noonan's press conference where he kind of just does his introduction on his feelings on the match right away. And this is usually my favorite segment before questions.
Yeah, an unfortunate trend in the end in conceding the goal to drop a couple points, but I think it was probably fair when you look at the way that game played out. Credit to Atlanta. They put us under a lot of pressure, certainly in the first half. When we were careless with the ball, some dangerous players that have the ability to attack 1v1, to get in the box. I thought we asked a lot of our defenders and Roman with too many of those moments where our lack of composure and just being careless on the ball didn't allow us to really move forward as a group in a more connected way. And so, the game was open at times, which is, good on one end because it allowed us some time to, some space to attack them. But on the other side, I think there's too much quality on their side with their team to be defending like that. So probably a fair result based on how we performed.
Now, here's the interesting thing. You guys are talking about Baji and making an offensive switch after the goal was scored by Atlanta. But what about before the goal was scored, Jason? Why didn't we switch into a more defensive mindset at that point? We took Matt off. I understand that move because of his newness to the team. But why not bring in players to try to defend that lead, or are we better just going for more?
Well, the question I have is who are you going to bring in?
Right.
I mean, we had our 2 better defensive mids out there in Moreno and Obi, neither of whom I thought had the best game of the season. Not that Obi was bad, but he certainly wasn't up to what we had seen in previous weeks. Moreno was not really a factor much at all. But I mean, really, your only option is, I don't know, bring on Kubo to maybe shore up the defensive mids. Bring on, I mean, he did wind up bringing on Nelson there towards the end, but bring on Nelson, leave Miazga in, and just add another, fullback or something like that. That I think that is one of the issues. Is while Miazga brings a lot to the team, Obi brings a lot to the team, the bench is really a problem. We don't have a lot of players who you can just plug into a particular role. That depth chart is not 2 or 3 deep. It's 1.5 deep in some cases. And I think that really showed against Atlanta. Our midfield did not look good, and it made the defender's job a whole lot harder.
This team is hilarious because of how powerful it is up front. And then the back half, even the midfield in the Atlanta game was struggling. How does FC Cincinnati make the playoffs or make it a game or two into the playoffs with such a liability on the bench, if you can call it that? Can Noonan coach his way through this?
Score your way through this. You just hope that when you get into the playoffs, you're just Vasquez and Brenner are just running around with their hair on fire and just can't miss. You hope to just put yourself in positions almost like the Philly game where you have a nice cushion built to where when a goal did trickle in, it wasn't as calamitous and detrimental. I mean, that literally might be it. It might be just letting your offense carry you a bit more.
And that might be a little harder to do once we get closer to September.
Sure.
I mean, you're talking about the whole rumor, the Vasquez train is on the rails, and choo-choo, it might be heading to Qatar at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, if the U.S. men's team, if Berhalter looks at Vasquez and says, we need to try him out, we lose him for a few games. That offense that had been powerful and that we're depending on to give us a 3-0 lead before the defense lead lets in a goal or two isn't necessarily going to be there. We're going to need to have a healthy Baji. We're going to need to have maybe a healthy Santos. We're going to need to have Calvin
and a confident one too. You're talking about two guys that have come in and not, Baji had some great play early on in the season, but when you're not getting the minutes and when you're just moving to a new team and you haven't really kind of bedded yourself in yet, there's a lack of confidence there as well.
Yeah. And this also comes down to the likes of Calvin Harris and Kimi Ordonez. We need to get them some minutes out there and give them some confidence to score a goal or two and make it so that this crutch that we might have of not having Vasquez is not as crippling for us.
Well, that gets back to the point of missed opportunities in this match. If a few of those shots from Brenner had gone in, or Lucho when he had that wonderful turnaround left foot shot that got saved and trickled away. Hats off to the ATL keeper, but if you can build up yourself a cushion, that's an opportunity then to bring in guys like Kimi. But we've not been in a situation most of the season where it's been a runaway win in any sense. It's always come down to the wire, it seems, and some of those guys just haven't had an opportunity. I guess confidence on Noonan's part, but they haven't had an opportunity to play.
And where are you giving them these minutes?
Exactly.
Looking at the schedule, you have 2 games against bad opponents, against opponents that you should have no business doing anything else but blowing them off the field.
What, Seattle and Chicago?
Well, I was going to say San Jose and DC, but sure, we'll go with those guys as well.
But throw in Charlotte in there too. They're not looking too good either.
Yeah, okay. But they'll have their knives out for us.
Yeah,
they had their knives out before, and I think when you lose to an expansion team, you tend to sharpen your knives a little bit more. So we'll see. They just went to LA and lost 5-0, so we'll see.
That's what we want to see.
In my opinion, we're totally off topic, but in my opinion, the 2 toughest ones are the next 2, like New York, Columbus. Bam, bam. And then let's jump into the suspension situation as well, because you have Acosta on 4 yellows. He gets 1 more. He's sitting. There's not a good behavior rescue coming for him. Obi, 4 yellows. If he makes it through New York, One gets pulled back and he's safe. Who else? There's one more.
Cameron,
4 yellows. He's also not going to get one revoked. So it's just a matter of when he takes his, most likely. And then fortunately, was a Powell got his erased, one erased this last game. So we have 3 guys on yellow card watch that will miss hell is real if they take a foul.
I had some friends rooting for them to get yellows or get that accumulation happening in this match for some of those guys.
I don't blame them.
Just so that they would be back and reset for that crew match.
If you're the type of person that's going to write New York off, then I could see it. Now, if FC Cincinnati had won at home like they're supposed to versus Atlanta, then that New York game is a little bit more manageable. You can go in there and just try to get 1 point there away. No one's going to fault you if you go to New York and get a point against their 4th place team that played was pretty. We're going to get those yellows. They're going to just fall and collapse on the field.
Obi is a walking yellow. Love the guy. He's been great, but the guy is just bound to get a yellow card every match.
Yeah, I'm super worried. If it was anybody besides New York, I wouldn't be worried, but it's New York. It's going to be a super aggressive, kick your heels, fall on the ground type of game, just like it was last time. That worries me.
This is a play your kids and just park the bus kind of game for me. Just sit back, absorb, try to escape with a 0-0 draw.
I mean, who knows? Maybe he, when they went up to Minnesota, maybe Acosta and Long, buried the hatchet, and everything is so fine and dandy now until the next headbutt.
Yeah. David Moore points out they have not been that great at home, but they are still in 4th place. They worry me.
They do have the worst, I think, home record in the East. I think they only have 3 wins out of 12 games in the East. So even if you didn't have Obi or Acosta or Cameron, I think you can come out with a win there. It's quite possible. They have not been playing up to they are night and day. They've been playing really well on the road, but when they come home, they just fizzle out.
Being in New Jersey has that effect.
I tend to fizzle out when I go to New Jersey too. Yeah.
Is that it? Oh, my word. All right, let's jump into the refereeing in this match. There is people calling foul on the not foul, the goal that was for Atlanta. Atlanta's second goal, of course, scored by former FC Cincinnati player Andrew Gutman, the one that got away, and he may have been offsides. What do you think, Jason?
He was offside. He was offside. He was, even if you're offside by 3 inches, you can't be a little offside. You're either off or you're on. It's like being pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. And this kills me because the Post had a great Chief Warpig wrote a little thing on the Post about not defending the referees. And I'm here to announce my membership in the Warpig Brigade because this is, at least by my count, another win that was taken away from FC Cincinnati by not going and looking at VAR or by just flat out botching the call. And I know that I'm being a homer here. That's fine. That's totally fine. And I'm allowed to be unreasonable because my team is getting screwed out of points when we could be in 4th place instead of 9th place, all because of pro referees being terrible at their job. And I will boo until I am hoarse, and then I will write boo on a sign and hold it up at them because these people are awful at their job. They're awful in MLS. They're awful in USL. They're awful in whatever other leagues they're doing. And we're supposed to have the cream of the crop of referees in North America, and they continue to screw FC Cincinnati out of points. This is terrible. And the head referee's excuse, he was probably offside or probably onside.
What was it? Most likely onside.
You have a tool right there to look at
yes,
and see, he was a little off or he was a little on. whatever. Just use the damn tool at your disposal.
Now,
It
he
blows my
can't.
mind.
He can't. The VAR official has to call that in.
Then call it in.
The VAR official.
You're also a ref.
Yeah.
You should know these rules.
The
Call it in.
VAR official, to my knowledge, can say, I don't think it was, but take a look at it. Because it's the
if
discretion
it's close,
of,
that's what they're supposed to do, right?
Exactly.
That guy is sitting in Atlanta, ironically, at the that's where they do the VAR checks. And but they analyze them, and they are to overrule the ref or tell the ref to look at it if they think it's bad enough to overrule the ref, basically. Which is why I don't think the call came in, because 3 inches wasn't enough.
Yeah, I'm on the side of 3 inches is not enough for that to overrule it. You could slow it down. You can, Zapruder film it. You can inspect it frame by frame. But in the end, this is a human game. VAR you can call it in, but there's no guarantee that ref is going to reverse the call. That was really close. I think it could have gone either way, but I am not going to complain about that.
Listen, as the guy who, as a Chelsea fan, my weekend was 2-2 draws that were assisted by referees. So this was the whole theme of the weekend. And so I've been stewing on it this entire time. And the fact that we have introduced VAR, this is supposed to be a new tool that is supposed to help make the calls better, to correct the mistakes, to take a closer look, to get it right. And if at the end of the day, the VAR is not really doing much. We're still getting things wrong. We're still choosing to miss things. The human element is still making grave errors. Then what is VAR exactly doing for us? I mean, that's kind of my question. If we're going to use it this poorly, let's just not use it. That's not an MLS thing. That's just like a soccer thing. If we're going to stink this bad at video replay, something that every other sport has nailed down fairly well at this point. They've had a few more years with it, but they've kind of nailed it down fairly well to where there's very rarely in the NFL is there a play that goes to review and is still deemed incredibly controversial. Where here in MLS, it is a weekly occurrence. It happens multiple times in a weekend. That's not good enough. So if we can't use the tool correctly, then why are we using it at all?
Heck, they have a segment on MLSsoccer.com, which is instant replay. Let's go to the tape. And
yes, great content, bad results.
Yeah, and I'm usually a VAR defender. I think overall VAR has made the game better. I will die on that hill. But it's like with any tool, you have to use it correctly. You're 100% right. And what bothers me is that MLS, which has all the money in the world, I can watch an EPL game and they will Zapruder film that check for offside. And I'm probably going to watch an EPL game this coming weekend and see the little lines that go up. And we see fans of FC Cincinnati with Photoshop doing the same thing, showing that they messed up. Why?
I liked the Atlanta fans that were doing it and just drawing a straight line on the on the picture. We drew a line. I'm like, I wouldn't know how cameras work. I
wouldn't be this bent out of shape if not for two things. We've had points taken away from us by bad officiating, and then the narrative that we're being too hard on the referees. That needs to die a death as well.
That's my narrative.
Is someone going to say that to Pat Noonan? Because he was also incredibly critical of just the overall state of reffing in the league in the post-match press conference. It's not a fan thing. It's not just the fans. This is not. You don't have to be a fan and have this emotional skin in the game. Pat Noonan, who's been in this league for his entire adult life, it can clearly see there's a problem.
Yes, and this isn't to knock Boston or anybody else who may think as fans that we're too hard on the referees. I want us to be hard on the referees. I want Cincinnati to have that attitude with the officiating that if you go in there and you screw up, you're going to have to go on depression meds the next day. Because, do you think referees like going into Cameron Indoor Stadium at Duke Do you think referees like going in, or officials like going into Lambeau Field or Ohio Stadium? I mean, I want it to be that kind of attitude where referees go from being, and I used to work in college sports and I know referees, and they are petty people. They are the people who wanted to be hall monitor growing up, but they will eventually come around to going, oh, I can't screw up in this place, because it will haunt my nightmares to have people like booing me until my nose bleeds. I mean, I'm tired of that narrative. I'm also just tired of the referees being terrible. It's making referees have ruined college basketball. I don't want them to ruin MLS.
Case in point, when you're bringing it up about a referee who doesn't want to, be known for this, Guido Gonzalez has come in here and he's had pretty decent games ever since. So, like you said, some of these referees do learn their lesson. They do understand that, hey, we can't mess up again. We got to be a little bit more on point with our personal style of refereeing. I'm hoping that this does the same thing to the last bunch of refs. I'll admit these refs weren't as bad as some of the ones that we've had in the past.
It was funny, like midway through the match, I was like, man, this guy's actually doing a decent job, outside of the fact that he was very adamant about anybody taking a quick restart on the free kick.
Yeah.
That was a weird thing. I was like, that's the thing, you're being like strong. Like
he was all about the timing.
Oh, that was the hill he was dying on. That
yeah. No, he did also let Matt get away with a handball. Did you guys notice that? We totally got away with a handball.
But was his hand was it behind him?
It was Dax McCartying. It was.
Yeah.
It could have been looked at as well, as I guess is my point. So I don't know if I don't think that factored into anything because of the VAR situation. But here's where I'm on your side, Jason, and then I'm going to go where I'm not on your side. I am not going to die on a hill of onside, because I like it if the attacker gets the benefit of the doubt. I think that actually would help FC Cincinnati in the future, since we're such an attacking team. I think if Vasquez and Brenner are in that situation in the playoffs, I want that goal to count, and then I want VAR to have to try to overwrite it. And in this case, I don't think it would have if that was Vasquez shooting that goal.
But has it in the past?
Didn't we have Brenner have one that was taken away because of that same situation?
We've had some.
I don't know if it was 3 inches
off for some very minimal offside.
Some fan, I'm trying to think who said they were going to do it on the Discord, is apparently making a compilation video of all of Brenner's goals.
Joseph Mamey is doing that, so I'm sure that'll be hitting Twitter if it hasn't already.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Here's where I want MLS to be at. I think they've told people two things. They've said every goal is reviewed by VAR, and then they've said, but it has to be, and then separately, it has to be whatever is reviewed by VAR has to be erroneous enough for then to call the head official over. I think when those two things merge, every goal should just be reviewed. And if it's anywhere at all close, just have the referee look at it. Honestly, if the referee goes over there, looks at it, comes back out, and I almost wish they had an NFL style where they get on a mic, like the NFL does, and he's just like, too close to call, the goal stands, I would be okay. I would be like, he looked at it, a human being just couldn't tell 3 inches.
I think maybe moving the VAR to Atlanta has made it worse.
Where was it before? Was it New York?
No, it was in-house. You had a VAR official
would
in
follow,
the box.
the fourth official, they would come.
Yeah, and that's what they do in like college basketball and college football. You have another official working, or a replay person there to work the replay. And I think that is part of it too. Is if you're in-house and you hear the fans' reaction, then you can go, okay, maybe we need to look at it. But if you're, all the way in Atlanta watching a TV monitor, you aren't in the moment. It's a neutral environment, but still, I think that made it worse this year.
Ken Hedger of CST, he's on YouTube tonight. He said, we have only won 20% of all 50-50 calls. If it was 40-60, okay, but we are losing almost every call. Mathematically, it is almost impossible. Ken Hedger is wearing his tinfoil hat tonight.
he's bringing
statistical
math.
anomalies.
He's demanding better.
I'm demanding better from MLS referees.
I think we are getting the short stick so far. I don't know if that math will even out and swing as more games play, but I'm with you guys on there needs to be clarification. There needs to be actual goal checks. The fact that they didn't look at it at all when it was that close, that's what bothers me.
Well, and telling them most likely onside
so dumb.
Is admitting that they're not certain.
And I think that's just referees saying what they should have said is, I don't have any power. Like complain.
And I think the other thing that Noonan was probably really mad at is this is now the second time in maybe 2 months now that a referee has said or done something incredibly unprofessional and saying most likely onside. It's just not good enough. Like, that's just not good enough of a condiment. Like, yeah, just lie. I'd rather you lie than be like, yep, 1,000% it's onside.
And really, they could just say it was too close to call, and it probably would have been more accepted. You're right, though. The random comments, that's two in a row, really, where they asked the refs.
Pro will never agree to this, but I think we should honestly go with the rules of baseball. In Major League Baseball, it can be requested by the media on site for basically a pool reporter to go down and get an interview with an official, and I don't, or an official is just made available. And I'm not sure that's in the rules. Is that offered? I feel like if it was, there'd be a lot of it going on.
But it's not what you think it is. It's more like you hand somebody a piece of paper and they run it to the officials,
and then you get a written response back.
Yeah, you kind of get like a comment, or they can still kind of refuse it. I don't know. It's still a work.
They can blow it off easily because it's a piece of paper being handed to them.
There are pool reporters, because I know that because we have been the pool reporter for certain matches.
So you had to come up with a question.
No, you don't have to ask a question.
Oh, okay. So just someone's designated each game is what you're saying,
right? So like if Laura had a question, and we are the pool reporter, it's our responsibility to take that down to him.
So has that? I mean, you guys are up there. Someone's up there representing. Has that happened at all this season? Where that's been like where the question has been sent in?
You know who the pool reporter is this season, Jeff? I think it might be Laurel, actually.
I've not had to use it myself, so I'm just not sure.
Yeah,
do it next time you cover a game.
That is a thing.
I don't care how well it's officiated.
It's not as easy. I'm sure it's not as easy as Major League Baseball's system. I'll give you
probably not.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's dive into the people that make CST what it is. Our show is supported by fans, and all of these people have signed up on Patreon and made CST free for everybody else. So if you would like to join them and help us out, you can over on our Patreon page or at Cincinnati Soccer Talk website /support. We want to give our appreciation to Ree Lee, John Davidson, Mike Hudson, Robert Stevens, Laurel Failer, Matthew Adamchek, Riley Stephen Burke, James Denbrough, Tom Newhouse, Brian and Brad Weigel, Brian Gills, Dan Alberts, Will Kychek, Ian Rexroad, Augustus Caceres, Bill Antonitis, Carl Feit, Jeremy Schrand, Kyle Pohl, Christina Sharma, Rupesh, Tom Beaversdorf, Jason, who is super average, John Haskell, Ryan Ernst, Mary Lou, Wes Anastasi, Rob Pierce, Clifford Adams, Thomas Stepp, Pierce Johnson, Mike Parentis, Mr. and Mrs. Wiederhole, Rob Gassell, Kevin Day, Jamie Smed, Alex Carnegus, Mike Bowman, Patrick Lahani, Dave Tingler, Brett Sova, Chris Hubbard, Kevin Cooney, Joe Max, Jack Emery, Sarah Gorman, David Moore, Bob Ryan, Ryan Durkin, Bart Labita, Mark Neuenschweier, Robert Triple, Joe Lohr, Bill Leopard, Maureen De Mare. Think I got that right. And then, guys, I think we just had one just come in. So I am going to dig that up.
Like during the show?
Yeah.
Prepare to have your name butchered by Boston Brazzle.
I know.
Someone get the commission on that sale? What's
Jose Guara, thank you so much for popping in during the show. You made it just in time. I got it. And we appreciate you supporting Cincinnati Soccer Talk. You'll be our special standout guest that I had to magically live figure out. So good work throwing me a loop on that one. We have a new player. You might have seen him out there on the pitch. I can hardly pronounce his name sometimes. Matt Miazga is the guy. After the game, I want to just quickly throw his voice in here because I thought he did a stand-up job. But really, I thought he came across pretty intelligent in this post game. So let's go.
My debut was fantastic in terms of playing in front of fans in the stadium. The support I got was wonderful, and I'm very pleased to be here.
The first 20 minutes seemed pretty kind of
Hectic.
chaotic.
Yeah.
How, it settled down a little. What
Yeah.
did you see kind of change? Obviously, a couple goals helped. But
Yeah. No, they obviously are a good team. They possess the ball well and build well, and they have a lot of individual talent that you don't want to really get stuck 1v1 with. So I feel like we were shifting a bit too late, and then once we got the ball, it was a big transition, and we were kind of playing up and down, back and forth. Obviously, once the couple goals came in, the game settled down, and we were able to control a bit, and we were able to go in halftime 2-1, which was a good situation as a team, going into the break 2-1, and there was good moments as well to finish the game off. But they obviously had their chances as well, and we let them play a bit too much, and they're a good team, so they were able to punish us and get back in the game.
How do you rate Matt's debut?
I thought he was wearing the bib thing at a barbershop for half that interview. I was confused. It's just
that
a
was
really weirdly cut
That's one of the
shirt.
first ones I've seen in the locker room like that on the video. Normally they're at the stage.
Is he getting his hair cut? I mean, listen, this is a guy who's he knows a few fight songs. He's bounced around Europe.
He was bossing him around out there. He was telling Cameron where to be, Barrial where to be.
We need that. No, I was obviously he had the one or two questionable passes, potential handball as he was going around, but outside of that, he looked very poised. He also looked like a guy that's definitely still in preseason form, which is exciting because that means he still has a few more gears to ascend to kind of get to his full potential of where he's at most seasons.
That backward pass scared the daylights out of me.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It was terrifying.
It did feel good to see that, I think Miazga unlocked a little bit in Cameron, in Hags. It seemed that they were definitely more positive when they were coming up, especially on set pieces and when they were facing goal for shots. I think all three of the center backs had a shot that had an opportunity to get a goal. That's something that we haven't really seen out of our back line. We haven't seen a big header. We haven't seen a center back celebrating a goal that often. And if that unlocks something in the rest of our defenders, I think we've got some good chances of pulling wins through these guys scoring.
I think to me, it looked like Cameron and Nick were both a little bit more comfortable in the back this game. Maybe, and they weren't, and I could be completely off on this. I sat in the Bailey or stood in the Bailey, so you don't really get the best angle, but I feel like Miazga was able to push a little bit further forward than Cameron, and that's something Cameron's not as comfortable doing most of the time now because he's just not as quick as he used to be. We're all there, but
Helps when your legs can bend all the way.
yeah. But I feel like he was able to kind of take some of the pressure off of them a little bit and made them more comfortable on the defensive side of things. Would have liked to. I'm really excited to see him play when we get Mata back, because I think that would be such a nice back line with him and Matarrita involved.
I think it also, when he was on the same side as Barrial there, it allowed Barrial to get up the field and move a little bit more because he knew he had some strong cover behind him that could clean up that space, which is helpful.
Yeah, I thought he did really well for not knowing the guys around him very much. To be the new guy, and that's probably where that backwards pass to Hagelin kind of comes in. It's just a mistiming, maybe what Hagelin's going to do, where the Atlanta
That's what Hagelin's
defender
going to
is.
do.
So yeah, it's odd. It was an odd thing, and I told the people around me, I said that's a total new guy pass right there, and I thought I could pretty much write that off. Luckily, nothing bad happened, so his record is still spotless and clean. But really, the authority he brought, I was impressed by.
I can't wait to see what happens next week because he's coming back to Red Bulls, where he basically grew up and became the player that he is now.
Yeah.
I'm hoping
boy,
he
did
can
grow
go a
up.
full 90 quicker.
Full 92 goals, please.
I'll just take a full 90. If we don't have to put Blackett in, then I'm happy.
Jason, you said you're in the Bailey. Is he as tall from there as he looked from my seat? Holy cow, man's a giant.
He's a tall dude. Yeah.
I'm like, the Fan Fest thing's coming up soon for season ticket holders. And I was like, when I meet that guy, I'm just going to have to do one of these where I'm staring up at the sky.
What is he? He did the thing against Mexico, right?
Yeah.
You should ask him to do that to you and get a picture of him doing that to you.
He must be this tall to rise the Matt Miazga train.
I like
Oh,
it.
that's the picture we're all going to want.
Yeah. He'll probably have, now that you've said that, anyone listening to the show is going to ask. He's like, why is everybody asking me this? Oh, man. Let's talk real quick about the playoff push. We mentioned at the top of the show, FC Cincinnati was in front of the pack. They are now with the pack. Everywhere from 6th to 9th place is tied. And that FC Cincinnati's goal differential puts them at that 9th spot. Next is New York, who has 4 points over them, but they're in 4th place. I mean, that's kind of crazy. 9th place to 4th place, the difference is only one win and one tie. So they're still there. And that's where I want to rally you fans listening. The show is not over. FC Cincinnati is not defeated. There is still plenty of season and plenty of points on the line. And if you believe Matt Miazga can help with the defense, and you believe that we can push through these games with the attacking talent, all is not lost, but it does get rough before it gets better. You guys were talking earlier which opponents you think you can take. We talked already about New York. We won't dive into that. Hell is real. Are you in this, or are you writing it off?
Oh no, I think hell is real is winnable. I mean, so long as knock on wood, so long as no one is missing from that match. Columbus has improved quite a bit since they brought in their new player, but I still think we are just as good as they are. I really, looking at the schedule, the only real games that I think are kind of toss-ups for me is NYCFC is going to be tough at Citi Field, and then you take that West
midweek
Coast,
too.
Yeah, midweek, and then you take the West Coast trip to Salt Lake and Seattle, and West Coast trips are kind of tough. So those are the ones that I'm like, we may not come out of it with a win, but everything else, I think, every other game, I think, is more than winnable.
NYCFC is winnable. I grain of salt, but you've seen that they've changed their coaching system, and it doesn't seem to be working as well as they would like it to. Their past 2 games, 3-2 loss against Columbus, 3-2 loss against Inter Miami. Those are high-powered offenses that have been able to put stuff through Sean Johnson. We scored 4 against them.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was winnable the first time.
So we should be able to at least take a point away from New York City. The only thing I can, you throw in intangibles such as that small field, that weird atmosphere playing on a ball pitch. It's definitely a game that they can still get points from.
But it's at the Mets ballpark, and I think their pitch is actually regulation size.
Slightly weirder.
It's still a ball field.
It's still a ball field, and probably have even less fans there.
Can they play that song that the Mets reliever comes out to? Can they play that?
They did play that before the FC Cincinnati game on Saturday.
Oh,
yeah, I got there really early.
You were there for the deep cuts there?
I was there for the deep cuts. DJ Primetime plays the B-side stuff really early.
Playing new stuff.
Jason was worried if he didn't get there 2 hours in advance, he wouldn't get one of those hats. All right. Well, I just want to Seattle. I've switched a couple games on my schedule. I'm worried about Lucho. Kevin said on Facebook, if we have Lucho, hell is real is doable. But if we don't have Lucho, I am writing that game off, putting a big X on it. I don't think it's doable without Lucho there. So at that point, I'm writing Seattle back in because they all of a sudden can't win at home, which is awesome. They haven't been able to win at home for a while now. And I think FCC can take it to them at their own field. Whereas before the season, that game was a loss, in my opinion. So if you trade things around a little bit, I think you can get there. You just can't have any more of these draws, and you can't have them at home.
That game was a tough game Seattle losing that game at home. They lost to Real Salt Lake,
Mhm.
and we're going to play Real Salt Lake at Real Salt Lake. It's that right now. I thought that could be a win. Now I'm not so sure. It might be a draw or a loss if we're not careful.
Yeah, RSL, obligatory RSL mention. RSL, it depends on which team shows up. They are consistently inconsistent this year. I know they've dealt with a few injuries and stuff, but I think the key for us, for FC Cincinnati, the rest of the season is you've got to protect the home pitch. I mean, there are no excuses. You can't keep dropping points at home. And if we can come away with Hell is Real with 3 points and Charlotte with 3 points, I think we're in the driver's seat. But one of the problems with this team has been all year is we don't win at home very often. We draw everywhere we play, but winning at home is kind of been a struggle.
So 4 remaining home matches. Hell is Real, Charlotte, San Jose, and Chicago. They should win all of those. And they have to.
Mhm.
You're not getting in the playoffs if you're dropping points like that. That's 4 wins that you should get and you must get.
That's 4 wins that puts you at 45 points if you get them all. And let's theoretically, you lose the rest. That's on the edge of where they would say playoffs would be.
They don't lose the rest. They're kings of draws.
If you throw in another win somewhere there, I think if they get 5 wins in these last 9 games or so, they should be in the playoffs.
Agreed.
Well,
yeah.
Pick up a fortunate draw or something on the road at New York or both New Yorks or,
as
Seattle
long
or
as
something.
that it doesn't give you too much leeway with the other games.
Right.
Looking over what we had left to talk about as we hit the hour mark. You guys have already hit most of these, so good job. We don't need to dive into the field. We don't need to dive into Brandon's. Maybe he goes somewhere else. We did catch a new rumor this week, though, that Leeds is looking at him. So I guess that's just something to keep an eye on. Now it's first Chivas, then Leeds. If you're a Brandon Vasquez stay at FC Cincinnati person, hold on.
Is Leeds just always going to be the catch-all rumor spot for every rising American and MLS star?
This American guy is playing well, so Jesse Martin.
Jesse Martin's probably going to want him, right?
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, if Brandon keeps scoring a goal or 2 a game, he's going to get the attention of clubs, though, whether it's Leeds or somebody else. So that's just something to keep an eye on. In my opinion, there's no way he's not finishing out the season with us, barring somebody comes in with just ginormous sacks of money.
And a lot of people are pointing out it's a club option for next year. They have no need to not announce that as soon as they want to. Get it done.
Yeah,
I think he's waiting on U.S. men's national team call up or not, and that might be something that allows him to get a little bit more money.
Yeah, if he gets his foot into the door there, then they're probably going to say, well, the next contract's going to have to write something in regarding that, maybe.
Sure.
If I'm his agent, I'm not rushing anything, except that I don't want that option used probably on my guy. I'm going to try to find something better for next year.
But the max he can make in MLS, if we don't exercise the option, is something like 600,000 or 700,000 or something like that.
Yeah, there's some kind of weird transfer thing that he is stuck under. You're right.
So he would have to, and I could be completely wrong, but he would have to go overseas
but he can't if we exercise the option.
Right.
So,
he would have to go out of the country.
Yeah. No, he would have to work with FCC for sure, in some way, form, or fashion. But we will dive into that a little bit later when we know more information. Vasquez did start in the All-Star game. Anybody catch it? I thought it was kind of meh. He hit the crossbar in the crossbar challenge. That was
I was at a bar in Tucson, Arizona, so no, I didn't catch it. It was on. It was on the other side of the bar, and I looked at it. I was like, I think that's him. Oh, no, that's offside. All right.
A skills challenge I found interesting. This is the first year I paid attention to it because our people were there, and they never were before. So
skills challenge is underrated fun. It's hokey, it's lame, but you just gotta just enjoy it.
I'm not sure Brandon's that's Brandon's skills suit, really.
No,
I'm disappointed they didn't. I'm disappointed they didn't show Goalie Wars on TV though. That would have been awesome to watch.
That was a YouTube exclusive or something, right?
Yeah,
make it after hyping it up.
Make it a feature.
They should have just re-aired it at halftime of the All-Star game instead of having Garber come on and flap his gums.
There were some people upset that Vasquez only got 15 minutes. Not this guy. I was pumped. I
No.
was like,
Yeah.
don't get hurt.
Wrap
Don't
him back
exhaust
up
our
and
guy.
bubble wrap and get him back.
Yeah. I was fine with it. The point there is really just to be there, and you're good enough to be there. That's all you really need. I don't think scoring a goal in the All-Star game would have got him on U.S. men's national team more than scoring versus Atlanta did. So, hot take there, if it's even hot. Final thoughts. Jason, we'll start with you. Close us out.
Final thought. I had one, and then it escaped my mind. Oh, yeah. Orange County SC needs to keep their stadium. If you're not following that drama out west with Lost LA Galaxy 2 and the Orange County Stadium stuff, it's kind of bad, and it makes MLS look bad. And Orange County needs either to keep the stadium they have or find a better venue. But hopefully the USL team isn't kicked out of there.
Hashtag lower division soccer wars. Yeah. I think MLS does look kind of bad, but only to like the 1,000 people paying attention.
That's the problem, is it just doesn't get enough print, right?
Right. But they're averaging like 4,000 or 5,000 a game, I think, in Orange County. Which
former Cincinnati Saint actually is their athletic trainer. So cool. I actually keep in touch with that team a little bit here and there.
All right, good. Thanks for that. Thanks for keeping us updated. Tebbets.
Yeah, I think I want to sort of get on that a little bit, sort of link everything together. This was a really good weekend to go out and see a game. I think it was our first sellout of the year, right?
Yes.
Go down the road, 2 hours down to Louisville. They had their first sellout, I believe, ever in their brand new stadium. It's great soccer weather. Go out there, enjoy it. It was the perfect weekend. I was up in the Bailey. I really had a good time watching it from that perspective. It makes me reconsider, my not necessarily my current seat situation, but it makes me consider that the Bailey is more of an option in the future. I really enjoyed it there. And the headache wasn't too bad the next day.
Ugo Akoli plays for Orange County.
That's right.
I think so does Tommy McCabe, doesn't he?
Yes, Kevin threw that in chat. I totally forgot. Does McCabe?
Yeah, McCabe. I think he plays for him.
I guess I should pay a little bit more attention to Orange County, man. I like watching Ugo. All right, Lance, this is it.
Well, to just close things out with a damper, Nike leak of the U.S. men's national team kits for the World Cup are so bad that they should probably lose their corporate license to operate inside the United States. Yeah. It's the most anti-American thing that's ever happened on U.S. soil, that these jerseys were made. And like the crazy thing is, like, you look at Brazil's kit, they also made that one. Mm-hmm. And it is like super unique. And there's this whole thing with like the button on the Henley, it actually makes the flag. Oh, it's amazing. So much detail, so much creativity. And yet then they barf out this U.S. men's national team kit that looks like a training top from like, I don't know, 2003. Like it's just, we're going to the whole, I don't know why Nike and Adidas with some of the MLS kits have decided, hey, we need to put the logos back in the center. That looked good. Everyone liked that, right? That's a terrible look. It was a terrible look in 1998 when they were doing it. It's a terrible look today. It's so bad, these jerseys. Weston McKennie already made fun of it by basically saying, because he commented on the leak, he was like, I tried to warn him.
Did he really? You think he was like going in like?
Because they probably show. I mean, I'm sure they did a photo shoot and everything already with the players, and the players are like, these suck.
It looks like a photo negative of the Spurs away jerseys, and those are horrendous this year.
Yeah, they're bad.
I don't know what Nike is on right now. They got to be taken off their meds.
What kills me is like, and sorry to keep us going over Boston, but you look at like these world soccer powers. They have consistent consistent jerseys. They may change a little bit over the years, but England is almost always in white. Brazil's always got the yellow. USA has to come out with something different every year. Just keep the sash or keep the stripes that they had. I think it was in 2010.
Waldo's are my favorite.
Yeah.
2010 sash was pretty sweet. Yeah. I thought we were going to bring those back because It worked really good last time playing against England in the World Cup, dressed like the Continental Army.
Yes.
We might as well do it again.
Yes, keep that. That's the look. Just stick with that and maybe like mess with that a little bit.
I don't care how ugly they are. If Brandon Vasquez gets to call up, I'm buying one, center logo and all.
Well, then
put
you
the
have to,
Vasquez
yeah.
on the back, and then I will support Nike's bad decision. So when they roll out another jersey, you can be like, oh, it's Boston. He bought that stupid jersey, and he made him think that we like him.
Just wait till Nike gets the MLS contract once Adidas is up.
Yeah, I don't see how it would be any different, really.
I mean, it'll save me money.
another contract, another big company. I think they'll have hits and they'll have misses. Adidas is super safe, so we might actually get something edgy. Maybe we'll see. Maybe give it to Puma. Give it to some third party. That'd be nice.
Diadora, baby.
All right. Well, that's it for us. We appreciate you tuning in. There are positives, there are negatives, but FC Cincinnati is still in it in August. What else can you ask for as a 3-time wooden spoon champs? We're just living in the moment, guys. We will see you next week.